Hello everyone, this is Grace. It is October the 11th, 2020, and we are continuing our study in Genesis 6. And we left off on verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Let's pay attention to what's being said here. It says, there were giants in the earth in those days. There were already giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. This is the definition for giants. Giants, the best definition really is given, if we look it up here. Giant, bully, or tyrant. What giant means, it means that they are men that are going around beating up and killing other men. That's what they're doing. And they are so mean and mighty that they have become renowned for being murderers. Mighty men of old, like a mafia. We're going to look at the examples. Let's look at the examples first, and then we'll talk about that some more, because it's bad. It's bad what was going on in the world back then. When you look at the examples, you'll start to see what I'm saying. So I've got it pulled up here. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. Here, this is the same word as in Genesis. Now, there's different words for giants, and they mean different things, and we'll talk about all of them. But here, they were bullies, okay? But they were men of war. So when they saw all of these murderers and these killers running around, and they were also big, giant in stature as well, because if you're big and strong, then yeah, that's what makes you a bully. So yeah, they were big as well. But that's not the word that's being used here. What the word that's being used is that they were bullies. Okay? It's only used here and in Genesis. That's the only place that it's used. Everything else is going to use different words. There's two other words for giant. But we'll go on. Which also were accounted giants as the Anakims, but the Moabites call them Emmons. This Emmons word here is terrors. See, they're giants here in the sense of invigorating a giant. Raphan, see also, that's the name. I think that's the name of a giant. It's in one of the other definitions, the name of some renowned giant, some renowned murderer. But invigorating a giant. But the Moabites call them Emmons. Terrors. Why? Because they're killers. That's what it means. That also was accounted a land of giants. Now this is an actual word that does mean giant right here. Giants dwelt there in old time. So there's not giants there now. But it's called the land of the giants because the giants used to dwell there. And the Ammonites called them Zizimans. Let's look this up. In the sense of invigorating a giant. Oh, that's the one we just looked at. But this is an actual giant. And then what was this I found? Oh, intriguing. Yeah, and I looked it up, and they're intriguing because they're killers. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants. behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Why was it iron? Because he was so big, he would have broke anything else. Is it not in Rabbath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth thereof, the breadth of it, after the cubit of a man. That's about 15 feet by 5 or 6 feet. A cubit is 18 inches. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the kingdom of Og. Gave I unto the half tribe of Manasseh all the region of Argob, and with all Bashan, which was called the land of giants. So Og is the only king that remained, and they slayed him. And the coast of Og, king of Bashan, which was of the remnant of the giants that dwelt at Ashtaroth and at Edrei. I didn't even have to go into all of these. All the kingdom, I just wanted you to see that there was a real giant, because we're going to talk about that in a minute. All the kingdom of Og and Bashan, which reigned in Ashtaroth and in Edrei, who remained of the remnant of the giants. For these did Moses smite and cast them out. So all the giants were dead. They're gone. They have their remnant, but there's no more giants, in the sense that they're an actual giant, but a giant is just a great big man that uses his power to bully and kill and murder other men. Okay, but they are big. Those are actually big people. And there was yet a battle in Gath. Oh, this is Second Samuel. We're going to go to Chronicles, and that's where we're going to study from. And there was yet a battle in Gath, where was a man of great stature, that had on every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes, 24 in number. And he also was born to the giant. The giant here tells you the name. Rapha. The giant Rapha, it's who he's born to. Now, let's look at this sentence here. It says, and yet there was yet a battle in Gath, where was a man of great stature. So it tells you he's of great stature. Do you have to tell somebody that a giant is of great stature? No, but you do here, because a giant doesn't mean necessarily that they're a giant. They could be just a big guy. They could just be a normal guy that's running around killing up everyone. You see, he was of great stature. And they say that for every single giant. They say that giant was big. Over and over again. We're going to look. Here's where they're all together. So we're just going to read through this, and then we'll go back to Genesis. Okay. Here, let's just start from the beginning. And it came to pass that after the... I don't think we need that. We'll go back to it if we need it. And it came to pass that after the year was expired, at the time that kings go out to battle, Jerob left forth the power of the army and wasted the country of the children of Ammon, and came and besieged Rabbath, that's a giant. But David carried at Jerusalem, and Job smote Rabbath and destroyed it. Oh, that's not a giant, that's a city. I'm sorry. And David took the crown of the king from off his head, and found it to weigh 1 talent of gold. And there were precious stones in it, and it was set upon David's head. And he brought also exceeding much spoil out of the city. Now this was supposed to be a giant here. The king of Rabbath. I didn't get the verse, I'm sorry, so I can't. Maybe I can find it. But this was supposed to be a giant. And yet, if he's so big, how do they just take the crown off his head and sit it on David's head? How do you go about doing that? It came to pass. No. I don't know where it is, so that's okay. We'll just continue on. There's a lot of examples in here. I didn't. Okay. And he brought out the people that were in it and cut them. We don't need to read all that. And it came to pass after this that there arose a war at Gezer with the Philistines, at which time Sibishia the Hushite slew Sippai, that was of the children of the giants, and they were subdued. But it doesn't tell you how tall he was, because he's not tall. He was just part of the giants. And there was war again with the Philistines, and Elithan, the son of Jar, slew Lamiah, the brother of Goliath, the Gibeite, whose spear staff was like a weaver's beam. Okay. Now we know that Goliath was like about 9 feet tall. But it does not say that, it doesn't say that it doesn't say Lemmy was big. His claim to fame was that he was Goliath's brother. He was the brother of Goliath, and Goliath had a spear that was like a weaver's beam, about 2 feet long. And yet again, there was war at Gath, where was a man of great stature, whose fingers and toes were 24, 6 on each hand, and 6 on each foot, and he also was the son of the giant. So it tells you he's a giant, but then it tells you that he's of great stature, because you need to know that not only was he a killer, he's a man of great stature whose fingers and toes were 24, 6 on each hand and 6 on each foot. But when he defied Israel, hold on a moment. These were born into the giant in Gath, and they fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servant. I read so much. I don't know what I read that gave us so many different examples. Maybe well, let's look up giants here. I think I looked up giant. Okay, so there's 19. So let's just shoot through these real quick. We've already done the first 2. We've done that. We've done Deuteronomy 20. I think we've done most of these. Okay, I got rid of these because it's just about the city. It's not about I actually did them all. I did them all with you guys. Maybe I didn't do all of the giants, so let's take that off and go through that real quick. So let's shoot through this real quick because there's only 8 verses. And I think we did do that. Well, in Ishbenab, which was of the son of the giant, the weight of whose spear weighed 300 shekels of brass in weight, he being girded with a new sword, thought to have David slain. And it came to pass after this, that there was again a battle with the Philistines at Gob, when Sibberchi the Hushionite slew Saph, which was the son of the giant. No, you've already read that. And we read this. I don't have any, I don't know if I think we've gone through all of the examples. I think that's it. You have to see it with what we have. 4 were born to the giant in the Gath, and they fell at the hand of David by the hand of the servant. Yeah, that's it. You have to see it with what we have. I thought there was more comparisons. I really did. I thought there was quite a few comparisons, but I'm not seeing it now. So we're going to have to move on. Okay, but I do want to talk to you just quickly about this, and then we're going to move on. First of all, we want to think of this with common sense. Let me just give you a scenario real quick. If there was a group of people and they lived in a town, and about 2 or 3 towns over were these pack of lions that lived there. And the pack of lions, they would go out hunting, and they'd kill a deer and a rabbit, and they'd kill the wildlife in the areas. But every once in a while, they'd come and they'd sneak over there in the land of humans, and they'd snatch up a little kid and run and take it back, and they would have that kid for dinner. How long do you think that would last? How long do you think before those men all got together and went over there? I don't care if they had to have 10 men per lion. They would eventually have enough of that and go over there, and they would encircle that camp, that town or whatever. And they would go over there and kill those lions and stop them from killing their children. Now, let's just consider what's being said about this, that these are real giants. What they want you to believe is that a giant lived in a town of little tiny men, and that giant would just come over there. The giants were bullies and murderers now. That's what they were, and that's what the definition is. And I might have made too much about it because I got so angry when I was reading it, because I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. It just bothered me so much. So what we are supposed to believe is that these murderers just came over there, and if they wanted some man's wife, they would go over there and kill that man, snatch up his wife, and take him with her, and it would be his. Because that's what was happening, you see. They were bullies, and if they saw a man's wife and they wanted his wife, they would simply kill the man and take her. If they saw a man's dog and they wanted the dog, they would kill the man and take his dog, his house, his property. There was no limit to their abominations. They had no respect for life. They were killing off people left and right. That's why they're called bullies. But they were murderers. There was violence in that land. And they were killing off people for no reason at all, because they didn't love God and they didn't love human life. They didn't respect a man's life. And they became renowned. They became renowned not because they were famous or because they did anything. They became renowned because they were dangerous. They were dangerous, like a mafia, but on an individual level. If a boxer, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like, and think about the examples that I showed you. They would say, this boxer is tough. He has had like 10 knockouts, and he's won 3 championships. So the knockouts would be would show you that he's tough, okay? But the championship is the renown that he has gained. That's the word giant. So back to the scenario. If there were really giants all over the place amongst a bunch of little people, a bunch of little men, and they were just coming over, killing up people and snatching up their property and their wives, and no man could sleep for fear, what do you think would happen? I will tell you what's going to happen. They're going to go over there. They're going to get together. They're going to encircle that camp. They're going to kill that giant. They're going to get rid of them so that they can have peace in their land. But that didn't happen. And that didn't happen because everybody was big back in those days. There were giants in the earth in those days. All of them were big. All of them were big. So why would they go and encircle another man for being bigger and badder and tougher than another one? Because if they do that, then they themselves could become subject to the exact same thing. So everybody was corrupt. It's just like today. If there's a big bad man and he's going around, well, today we have the police. You can't really do that today. But back in the day, it tells you there was violence. Well, let's continue to read. We're going to continue to read in a minute. But there was violence all over. We read through it. I don't think we read far enough. But part of the reason for the destruction was the violence of these people. Because they were just killing each other up with total disregard for God and their fellow man. That's what's going on here. The giants means that they were men of renown as murderers and killers and men of violence that would see something and would exercise no self-control because they were bigger and stronger and badder. They would just take what they wanted, and if they had to kill a man to get it, it meant nothing to them. You might have to study that on your own. It was pretty clear to me, but when I read it, I may have been a little bit upset. I don't know if it was clear to you, but if you go read it on your own, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. Because many times they use the word giant and they don't give the height. And then more often when they say giant, they'll say, oh, he was a man of great stature or he was big. I read one where it said they were tall. I don't know why. I didn't see that when we read through them, but it said that he was tall. I looked that word up. But that's what it means. I hope I put it in there right, but I don't know. We're going to move on. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thought of his heart was only evil continually. And that's what I was just saying about. That goes with verse 4. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Can you imagine Yahweh having to look down at all that violence and men just killing each other up for no reason? Maybe they just like their dog, and he's a big bully, and he knows he can take the other guy, and so he just kills him and takes his dog. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. No, it said violence somewhere. We'll read down a little bit further. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. There we go. Verse 13. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, because it was survival of the fittest at that time. It was survival of the fittest. Men were stacking wives upon wives. There was violence and corruption in the land. It was a horrible time. And then I think that Yahushua compared the end times to Noah somewhere in the Bible. I have to think about it. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. And then he told him to make the ark. We've already gone through that study, but that's what's going on there. It wasn't that the women were so much fair. It wasn't that they had 3 inches of makeup on their face and their bosoms were showing. No, they just wanted to stack wives. They wanted to take all the wives that they could and stack them up one upon the other so that they could have more women. And the Lord said, and the giants of the earth, we skipped the sons of God and the daughters of men. The sons of God are men that follow God. And they, of course, turned from God because they were with the daughters of men. And the giants were already in the earth because people were big back then. There's no way people are going to let giants just come in and destroy a peaceful society. It's not going to happen. Not in any reality that I could come up with. I just couldn't see it. I just can't see that happening. No, they're not going to kill other men that look like them, because that would make them the instigators. They would be the wrong person then. But if someone who is not of that area, who does not belong there, or that pact, yeah, they're going to go over there and they're going to stop them from coming over and hurting their people. That's common sense, everyone. That's common sense. Anyway, that is my interpretation of Genesis 6:1 through 5:6, whatever we read through. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Until next time, bye.